What's going on, guys? Back again with another video. This time we're going to be doing a Reddit discussion, and today's topic is Bleach better than Naruto? I am thinking to start Bleach, but it's a long anime, so I would like to know if it's worth the time. So right off the bat, my opinion on this subject is no. Bleach is not better than Naruto. I think Naruto is substantially better just in terms of story. Like it actually has a interesting story, and the characters had motivations that you wanted to follow through. And honestly, it was just done better, especially the first 135 episodes up to the Sasuke retrieval arc. I think there was probably a sizable fall off after Jiraiya's death, where before that in Shippuden, it had good hype, but it didn't really live up to it. Bleach is good. I thought it was honestly, I thought it was a great anime. It was great for let me not say a great anime, but it was great for what it did. It was a great battle shonen in particular. But the story was redundant. It was basically damsel in distress, and that kept getting repeated over and over. But no, but overall, I thought it was good. And during this peak, it still toe to toe, but I feel like Naruto clearly had a sizable advantage, and I guess in a way, not that I believe in sales and numbers, but it clearly showed that in terms of their genre. So let's get into this. Let us start reading. So it's pretty straightforward. So first comment, Raya Rescinder. What does he have to say? Quote, Soul Society arc of Bleach is better than Naruto, but the rest isn't. That would be my take. Bleach suffers heavy from plot armor issues. Does Bleach suffer from heavy plot armor issues? I mean, it probably does. I mean, yeah. But I can't say that would be the standalone reason, because you could say the same thing about Naruto, where it's like, even I think the biggest plot armor was just not having Sasuke go all the way, right? Like I feel like they always kind of left Sasuke some rope to always come back. Like he never really committed an act that would push him over the edge to where Naruto would have to really make a decision, and that is it like like ethically responsible for him to even accept Sasuke back. Like let's say if he had killed Sakura or something like that, or whatever it is, who knows? But yeah, so I would say the Soul Society arc of Bleach, I wouldn't say it's better than Naruto at any point in the first 135 episodes, but I would say you could argue it's better than Shippuden. But yeah, I don't know. But let's keep going. Okay, so here we got Discount Ramune. In my opinion, cooler characters for Bleach, but a lot of characters kinda are flat beyond abilities. Equal in terms of visually cool looking ability powers, but also after a certain point, Bleach does a lot of I'm the MC, so I get plot armor. Okay, so um yeah, once again, I think this is pretty standard. Yeah, I think that's just a shonen thing, like generally speaking, the main characters get plot armor. Like Naruto had plot armor. Like I don't get why this complaint keeps coming up. Mm, I, nah, I don't think that's a fair complaint, but let's keep going. Uh, okay, so quote, I stopped watching after Bleach certain arc. I don't want to spoil anything, but overall, I'd say Naruto has a better after story of the original storyline. I'm sure people might disagree with me. I personally, but hold on. Hmm. Does Naruto have a better after story than, I guess, Bleach's? Well, Bleach doesn't really have an after story because I don't think there was any really time skip. So I guess the safe thing, I guess, would be the once they got out of their main story arcs, like I guess Naruto would be the Sasuke retrieval arc. But even then, Naruto's main story arc kind of continues on off even into Shippuden. So I don't know if that's a fair assessment, but honestly, I don't think Shippuden at any point was better than Bleach. Me personally, I thought Bleach would anything Shippuden has to offer. I think Bleach topples it. But all right, let's keep going with his quote. So I quote, I personally think that the main story of Bleach is stronger than Naruto, but again, Naruto has a better legacy, I feel. Hmm, that's interesting. He said that the main story of Bleach is stronger than Naruto. I totally disagree. I don't think the main story of Bleach is literally just Orihime gets kidnapped. Uh, Ichigo, travels to some unknown society. There's a whole bunch of ranks in that society, and he beats them as he moves up, and he gets new powers, and then he saves Orihime, and they beat the big bad, and they go back to Earth. nah. Say what you want about Naruto. I don't think Bleach's story could stand toe to toe. Now, if you want to argue that Bleach might have better action scenes, I think that's actually a real debate there. I would still say Naruto has better fight scenes, but it depends. Let's keep it moving. So here we go. We got Fribtastic. So here we go. Quote: I wouldn't say that I like one more than the other. Bleach was very interesting and entertaining for being its own thing, as was Naruto. They are just very different for what stories they tell, but I enjoyed them both. Both struggle severely from fillers, and Bleach more than Naruto, in which the middle of the fight, the narrator goes, and now to something completely different. Yeah, he said, I wouldn't say that I like one more than the other. I I don't like when people say that. I guess he's saying. I guess he's saying they're equal. Okay, no, I can't complain. All right. I guess there's a debate for that. I think there's grounds for that. So I'm not gonna argue that. That's subjective. Both struggle from fillers. Yeah, almost every long running anime from that time struggle from fillers. Bleach, Rurouni Kenshin. I'm not sure if Yu Yu Hakusho had it. I don't know, but that was pretty common back then. Especially, I think nowadays they do cores and seasons and stuff like that, so they're able to really manage the fillers. But back then, it's like if an anime was running, like it was just running nonstop. So I think in this discussion, you have to take fillers out the conversation, that you can't really input it. Just to be fair, at this point, these shows are so old. It's easy to skip it. You can go to a website, find out, hey, what are the fillers, and just say, look, skip. So I don't think it's fair to bring those into the conversation. But let's keep going. Okay, so here's what this guy had to say. I can't see his name. So this guy says, I can't get why we can't just ignore non-canon stuff or just talk about the manga. Skipping fillers is easy. Exactly. Yeah. I would give this a thumbs up, but I am not logged in. Yeah, I agree. So let's keep going. Llama Charge. In my opinion, you should just watch the first 3 seasons. They're absolutely worth the time. Afterwards, Bleach kind of just repeats itself. But if you like the characters and/or fillers, go ahead and finish it. I don't know what he means by the first 3 seasons. I'm going to assume that's the Soul Society arc. And yeah, generally I would agree with the statement. Yeah, Bleach, it just kind of rehashes the same ideas and just does it over again. I think the only time that they really switched it up was that last arc. But some people said it was a filler arc. I'm not sure. I never read the manga, but basically when Ichigo lost his powers, which was almost like an homage to Yu Yu Hakusho. And so basically, I guess the writer just decided, hey, look, this guy's, his power has gone up so much that in order to keep it interesting, that they had to take it out, and they did that. And that was the only time things where the story was different. And even that was actually, I think, the first time Ichigo actually went into some level of conflict. But yeah, the first 2 arcs are just rinse, wash, repeat with Soul Society, the Arrancar. They got more in the manga. I haven't read the manga, so I can't speak to that. So for the most part, I agree with what this guy has to say. Next one. Okay, so we got this one. Bish It's Pranjal. Okay, so quote, Bleach has no direction it wants to go to. Unlike Naruto, that being said, the initial stuff is brilliant. Yeah, Bleach did not have a direction. It really just the main character, like Ichigo, like he doesn't really have a motivation. Like if there's no one to save, it's nothing to do. Or I shouldn't say no one to save. If Orihime doesn't need saving, it's nothing for him to do. So yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And yeah, honestly, I think the initial, like, Bleach gets a lot of hate, but I think the initial arcs, like the Soul Society and Arrancar arc, were just awesome. Especially the Soul Society. That was probably his best arc, whereas like the Arrancar arc probably had the best fights. But let's keep going. We got this guy, Chrysalis. Personally, I'd say no. Bleach is good for the first 60 episodes, 60 or so episodes, about equal to Naruto, I'd claim. But after that, the show goes to shit and completely falls apart. It's probably not worth the investment unless you're heavily into shonen. Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate read. Yeah, I think you could appreciate the first 60 episodes even if you're not into shonen. I think it just did what it did really well, but yeah, yeah, he's right. Honestly, this is a pretty good comment. Yeah, the first 60 episodes is where it's at. Yeah, I think those first 60 episodes could go toe to toe with Naruto. I think they were roughly equal, although because it didn't really at that point it didn't the characters didn't really need motivation. Like that story, it was a simple story. They did it well, and it was new. Whereas after the Soul Society arc, when they got to the Arrancar, they started rehashing it, and then at that point, it just got redundant. And now the character, to me, at that point, really needed a motivation, like from within himself, or just from something would keep you wanting to watch. And I think that's really what killed Bleach, is that since there was no future motivation, where like Ichigo, he didn't have like a motivation, like, oh, I want to be the Hokage or whatever, or I want to be the king of all pirates, or like whatever standard it is that he would have to get to. And then he almost peaked too early, a bit in power too. They kind of moved him up too fast, where they probably should have carried him a little bit slower, and just had really dope fights throughout the time, and maybe have other stronger characters bail him out instead of having him be the guy during the Soul Society arc. But so yeah, for the most part, yeah, I agree. Although I don't want to say if it goes completely to shit, because I think the Arrancar arc, even though it was redundant, was really good. Like I thought it still was worth watching. So, but it's just redundant. So if after 60 episodes, if you're not into shonen, definitely drop it, because then it's just gonna get redundant for you. But I think even if you're not into shonen, you could appreciate the first 60 episodes. So let's keep going. So this guy says, Chief, sit ass. I like both, but felt like they should have ended way before they did. Hmm. Yeah. Once again, yeah. Nah, honestly, yeah, agree with that. Bleach probably should have easily ended after about 67 episodes. I'm glad they had more. Naruto, I don't think it could have ended at 135. Although though that first, like, just regular Naruto was just the best, the apex of the whole show. But they just dragged Shippuden, and like they really could have condensed Shippuden much better, but they just dragged it. So sure, yeah. Let's continue. Looks like there's more. What does it say? Yeah. Okay. So Lady Hell is replying to Chief Sitaz. Yeah, I forgot to mention that I wasn't very impressed with the endings of both series, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I agree. Like, to me, the endings. Well, I can't speak on Bleach's ending, because I don't even know if it's over yet. I don't read the manga, so I can't speak on its ending. But Naruto's ending, yeah, it was definitely a little bit disappointing. Just at that, by the time Naruto and Sasuke got to fighting for that last time, it was so overdue. I lost interest. But whatever. Okay, here we go. We got Gingen Hagen. Okay, so what do we got? So here's what he has to say. Quote, Naruto was good until episode 135, end of Sasuke retrieval arc. Bleach is good until episode 63, end of Soul Society arc. Yeah, this me and this guy totally agree. Like, I don't want to say they were good until that point. Well, Naruto, I will say, was good until that point. After that, like, it was never good. I was like I said before, the early parts of Shippuden was really carried by the anticipation of what happened at the end of Naruto. But by the time Jiraiya died, you realize, like, it just, after, like, Jiraiya, by the time Jiraiya died, because Pain was actually a really dope arc. But once Jirai died, and then they start bringing Madara and Toby and all this other stuff, and then Danzo with 1,000 Sharingans in one arm, it stopped being worth it. It would stop being interesting, and yeah, it was just a fall off. So yeah, Shippuden at the beginning, it was interesting, cool. Pain was dope. After that, after Jirai died, that was definitely like a sad death. And after that, it was just not interesting. And the fights, they lost the hand-to-hand combat. I mean, they brought it back near the end with the Obito versus Kakashi, but for the most part, it just fell off a cliff, both in battles and story. So yeah, and just too many plot holes. So yeah, I can agree with that. As far as Bleach though, no, I think Bleach was so good after Soul Society. Just, it was redundant. Uh, so let's keep going with what he has to say. So I think both of these are equally worth watching up to those points. After that, the quality really is much worse. Along with large amounts of filler, anime filler list helps with skipping, punctuated with only a couple highlight good moments. So I would say the first 63 is worth it, and then if you want to watch the rest, depends probably how much you enjoyed watching Naruto after the dip in quality with Shippuden. Mm, but I think this is probably one of the best comments. But I don't know if you can compare the dip in quality with Shippuden to what happens after society, because I don't know. I guess he wasn't a fan of that Ronka arc. I thought that Ronka arc was pretty dope, although it did drag. Now when I think about it, just getting to Hueco Mundo was a drag, but once they got there and everything went down, it definitely had some of the hypest fight. Uikoria versus Ichigo, Grimjow versus Ichigo. I mean, just anything Ichigo was just, they had some fire fights. But then, yeah, nah, so yeah, so let's keep going. So we got minus mentality. Let's see what he has to say. Quote: watch or read Bleach if you want cool powers, raw battles, and flashy presentation. Naruto is better overall. Both were adapted by the most garbage anime studio. So I recommend the manga, especially if you don't want filler hell. Watch or read Bleach if you want cool powers, raw battles. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah. I don't know about the cool powers part, because literally everybody just gets a sword and they just kind of start. It's like they just throw beams from their swords and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say the powers are that cool, but yeah. But I can say that, like, basically, if you just want a raw battle shonen, that's Bleach is your guy. Man, he is right. Naruto is better overall because it actually has a story and characters with interesting motivations. Okay, so let's keep going. So here we got wooden rocket ship. What does he have to say? He's saying a lot. Quote: Bleach has worst plot overall and story. Characters, they barely have substance and suffer from same face. Okay, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming he says the characters look alike. I feel like a lot of anime suffer from that. Although Naruto did do a decent job of having people look the same, but they did do a whole lot of carbon copy Naruto's, like Naruto. Then you got Pain Naruto. Then you got Minato. Obviously, that's Naruto's dad. Then oh snap, oh, man, it was a couple other characters, or they would just copy the personalities of the characters, like, and then like all the Uchihas look the same. I mean, I guess it's the same tribe and stuff like that, but I don't know. It had a lot of carbon copies, but all right. Let's keep going. Uh, Variable filler arcs range from kind of acceptable to almost unbearable. They straight up inserted an entire filler arc in the middle of one of the best fights of the series, too. Man, I wonder what fight that is. I don't know. And dear God, is the pacing bad? Not One Piece bad, but still pretty bad. Early early Bleach is fine and an enjoyable watch, but and I probably will get flack for this. Even at its best, Bleach didn't feel like it deserved to be in the big three. Emphatically disagree. Yeah, he's definitely gonna get flack for that. Bleach deserved to be in the big three. Like, first of all, you deserve what the market bears out. So if they were in the big three sales, then that's exactly what they were. But on top of that, I like during that time with, like, especially during Soul Society or Rankar, like before it fell off, because it only really fell off because of fillers and that, just fillers. Honestly, I think fillers is what killed Bleach. And since it was doing so many fillers, they didn't really like. And like I said, I believe that my theory on them falling off is that since they didn't have fillers, and that the characters in Bleach did not have intrinsic motivations, and the story was kind of like already complete, and it really wasn't like no point in caring about anything. Nobody cared to watch it, and less people cared to read the manga. Because why would I read a manga when there's no story? Like, I'm not gonna read it for the action. So once you put fillers in the anime, it's over with. And so then you got, honestly, the only thing I can say about Bleach that's better than Naruto is that it doesn't have the god awful animation quality dips Naruto has. But at the same time, it doesn't have the occasional godly animated and choreographed fights Naruto had as well. Yeah, nah, I gotta disagree with that, because to me, the animation quality in Bleach was probably, honestly, consistently better than Naruto. If I recall, maybe I'd have to rewatch it. But the Naruto, the quality, I mean, I guess he hints at that, where it's like Naruto had a ton of dips, but I guess you could say at the peak, yeah. Now, I guess peak Naruto, it did have a bit more animation, since I don't know, man. That's tough to say, but because the thing is, Naruto had an advantage because they would throw in hand-to-hand combat, so it would advertise the animations way better. Whereas like Bleach was just like you're swinging your sword, and maybe it's like one punch and it sends you flying across the map. So, but I felt like it had consistently good animations. So yeah, no. I have to go rewatch that. That's an interesting take. He might be right about that, actually. I'd have to rewatch him. But yeah, but it definitely was more consistent in terms of animations because man, Naruto would fall off in the animations and they just pop up with some crazy stuff. But yeah, all right, let's keep going. Whether you like the OST better than Naruto is completely subjective, though. I prefer Naruto, but the Bleach soundtrack is still pretty solid. Agreed. I think they both have pretty good soundtracks. While I've come to really dislike Bleach, I won't say you'll dislike it, even if it's not as good as Naruto. I will say, though, if you're really hurting for some battle shonen, there are plenty of better options compared to it. The obvious recommendation of Hunter x Hunter, of course, but also some classics like Yu Yu Hakusho, which honestly Bleach took a lot of ideas from, and Rurouni Kenshin. That was a loaded statement. I'm gonna have to disagree. Where to say that like Hunter is a better shonen because quite frankly I wouldn't like me personally I wouldn't even classify Hunter as a shonen just because it doesn't run the same tropes or the same stories like at all like it just doesn't even fit in that brand. I mean, obviously, I guess if you're going like by the letter, it is geared towards I guess teenage boys. Even then, like that's kind of hard for me to say because I feel like the ideas and the themes that they're talking about in Hunter x Hunter is applicable to anybody, right? Like it's really which shows because it has such a loyal following and for all these years. So I don't know. But and then the other thing, Hunter x Hunter, like honestly, as a shonen, is worse than Bleach to me because quite frankly, as far as fight scenes goes, none of Hunter x Hunter's fights touches a single fight in Bleach. Period. Like none of them. I mean, I guess maybe you want to talk about the Netero versus Miriam fight, but even then, like it doesn't touch it. Like a lot of the fights in Hunter x Hunter are almost like psychological. Like it's like a underlying like it's almost like pushing the story and kind of a character piece. That's how their fights go. Whereas Bleach is just a raw battle. Like it's just two guys getting in there and duking it out, and they see who comes out on top. So no, I don't think that's fair. Yeah, Bleach definitely took a lot from Yu Yu Hakusho. You know, that's why anytime I talk to someone, they say, "Oh, I like Bleach." I say, "Hey, well, if you really like Bleach, man, you should check out Yu Yu Hakusho." To me personally, I think Yu Yu Hakusho is even better than Bleach. But yeah, nah. So then you got he mentioned Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin. Is it better? Yeah, I don't know. Rurouni Kenshin is a little bit dated now, I would think. But honestly, yeah. I think there's an argument for that because Rurouni Kenshin like it does shonen really well. Like it doesn't run away from it. It does a whole big fights, the 2 episode, 3 episode fights, the screaming, the yelling, the busting out the awesome techniques, the suspense, the leveling up. It does that really well, and while on top of that, adding a layer of maturity to it and some depth of thought. So yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah. Actually, I think that's fair. Okay, so let's keep going. I know it's pretty unlikely for a modern Battle Shonen fan to have seen My Hero Academia, but honestly, despite how overhyped My Hero Academia can be, it's still better than Bleach. Nah, I disagree. Like, nah. I don't know about that. I think that's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far. Nah, yeah, nah. I mean, My Hero is good. It does shonen well, but the Bleach tops it for me. I definitely prefer Bleach over My Hero, but yeah, we'll just keep going with that. Mm, okay, so here we go. We got another guy, Terror Wraith. Let's see what he has to say. Quote, yes, Bleach. I remember myself telling I won't watch this half-baked nonsense, but 2 months ago I started watching it and damn, I was wrong. First of all, I can say that the anime feels unique considering what comes out today. Yeah, back then they really drew animes a bit different. It seems like nowadays like everything looks really clean and sharp and just crisp, and they kind of standardized the look. Whereas back then it was really varied. Like Naruto had his own look, Bleach had its own look, One Piece had its own look, uh, Kenshin had its own look, Gundam had its own look. Like, but nowadays like almost all these animes look the same. It's like it's really weird. But yeah, let's keep going. The world is interesting and the cast is diverse. However, you can feel that the whole plot revolves around the main character. His drive to do what he does is questionable, but he is never irritating and therefore likable, even though he is not the most charismatic character. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It definitely revolves. Yeah. I would agree with that. Even with Naruto, even though like it is like watching him, try and become the Hokage or whatever. Uh, you have motivations. The other characters have their own motivations, and they do kind of get into the spotlight at times, especially in the original Naruto. Naruto Shippuden, they really just kind of narrowed it down to just Naruto and Sasuke, and everyone else became kind of cannon fodder for their existence, which was really bad. But yeah, they did it. Naruto definitely does a better job instead of just. Whereas with Bleach, it really did kind of revolve around Ichigo. Like nobody was getting in a big fight other than Ichigo. So which kind of makes it bad because then when you see other characters fight, it's like you just don't really have an interest, you know, like so yeah, I would agree with that. And then his motivations is not too impressive. Like it's just like like honestly he doesn't really have a motivation, so I can't even say it's not too impressive. It's just not there. So yeah, it's definitely not interesting. Um, but yeah, he's right. I wouldn't say Ichigo's really annoying or whatever. Is he likable? I mean, he was cool. I appreciated his character. Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, all right, let's keep it going. The animation is always consistent and the fights are good. One thing which plagues the anime is the filler, which can make or break the enjoyment. There are some filler arc which bring much wanted development, but there are some which can get a bit annoying. Overall, I would say that there are welcoming additions with a few exceptions. Yeah, like, as we already stated, definitely agree. Animations are consistent, and the fights are not. To me, fights aren't just good; they're great. Like they're one of the best. They can stand toe to like the Bleach fights can stand toe to toe with any fight in any other anime. Period. Uh, yeah, I think people should start ignoring the fillers. Like I don't know why it comes into the conversation, but I guess they did have a lot of fillers, so fine. Overall, I guess you could say it dragged it down if you're watching it in real time. But nowadays, people binge watch it, so I think it's irrelevant. But let's keep going. Now the question is, it better than Naruto? In my opinion, no. If you consider watching Shippuden, but the filler are way better than the nightmares Shippuden gave me. I disagree. If you consider watching Shippuden, honestly, it puts Bleach in a much better light. If you take out Shippuden, then Bleach can't stand toe to toe. It could hold Naruto's ball sack. So yeah, I feel like Shippuden is what is what drags Naruto down. But let's keep going. Overall, Bleach is extremely solid anime, and you should definitely give it a go. It may not have the best story, but as experience is a must-try. Consider its continuation was announced. PSOS is a banger. Okay, so this is the last comment, so let's just read it. Ryuzaki77, go for it. Bleach really is worth it. Personal opinion, but I like Bleach more than Naruto, and the final arc is gonna F them all. Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about the final arc. I've had a friend, I really respect his opinion. And yeah, so I'm really, if they do animate it, I'm really excited to see the final arc of Bleach. I want to see what they do. But that's it. So yeah, yeah, overall good read, and yeah, I'll get back to y'all next week. Peace.